Hi, this is Ralph Zuranski. I'm on the phone with Harv Eker, one of the publishing phenomenons in the world today. His book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, went to the #1 position on the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today in its first week of publication. How are you doing today, Harv?
I'm doing awesome, thank you.
I know I attended your seminar at the big seminar, and it was just incredible what you talked about in teaching people how to overcome the negative programming in their mind that makes them poverty-stricken. What is your definition of a heroism?
Well, that's a good question. I like to look for definitions actually in the dictionary because I think they're usually very prevalent. But I would say that if I had to give a definition of a person who was a hero, I would say that somehow that person was living on purpose, living their mission. And I know that it sounds a little on the woo side, but I think I believe that because if I'm involved in this conversation and you're talking about searching for heroes, and if for some reason I'm considered a hero, then I would think that myself and many other people in this category, we don't consider ourselves heroes. I would never say that I'm a hero. I just do what I do. Did you follow what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I do it in a way that it touches people's lives, touches thousands of people's lives, but you don't have to touch thousands of people's lives to be a hero. You just have to live your mission. I think everybody here on this earth right now who's living and breathing, you have a reason for still living and breathing for this moment, because there's billions of people who came before you and billions after you, and everything on this planet has a reason for being. Every insect, every spider, every bee, every flower has a reason for being there, and it would be silly to think that humans, as part of human nature, as far as Mother Nature, don't have a reason. So I believe we all have a reason for being here, and I think a hero is just a person who actually lives their mission.
What is your perspective on goodness, ethics, and moral behavior?
Well, I don't think you can go without those things. I think I'm the one who teaches that beliefs can't be right or wrong or true or false. They can only be supportive or non-supportive. So I think obviously morals, ethics, they're all in the eye of the beholder, and they all are different for different people. I think the mass consciousness has come up with an agreement as to what those things are. But they're not true. But what I think is accurate, though, is that the agreements of how people are being more moral and ethical and are supportive to people's lives and to communities' lives at a whole. So I think they're essential because they are supportive, not because they're right or wrong or true or false.
Mm-hmm. What do you believe are the principles that people should be willing to sacrifice their lives for?
I think people don't realize that they sacrifice their life every minute of every day. What that means is that you have a life energy, and you have a certain amount of what we measure in time as seconds in that life energy that you have to live, and that everything you're doing, you're sacrificing some of that life energy for. So if you spend 4 hours in front of a television and watching a boob tube and just kind of dozing there, that's you've sacrificed 4 hours of your life to do that. If you give a smile to someone or acknowledge them and let them know how important they are, that's a different kind of sacrifice. But I think people don't realize that they're sacrificing every second of their life, every second of their life.
I know you've had some ups and downs in your life, going from poverty to wealth, back to poverty, and back to wealth again. What was the lowest point in your life, and how did you change your life path to win a victory over the obstacles?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that I don't use the word poverty because I never use that word myself. But certainly I wasn't well off financially, and then became a millionaire because I was a kind of person. My parents came from Europe, and they came with the proverbial clothes on their back and nothing else. For us, money meant survival. That's what I learned when I was young. And so all my friends wanted to be baseball players and astronauts and firemen and policemen. I just wanted to be a millionaire. I left school even early at the end of the first year of college for my quest for the holy financial grail. But for the next 12 years, I was nothing but frustrated. And finally, I met up with a friend of my father's who was a multi-millionaire and gave me some good advice and said, stop trying to reinvent the wheel. If you want to be rich, do what rich people do. And so I started studying what rich business people do. And in my next business, I became a millionaire in only 2.5 years. The problem was that a couple of years later, it was all gone again. And just the way serendipity works, I happened to make my money in the fitness business, and I knew about this thing called a set point when it comes to your weight. And I realized that had come right back down to the exact amount of money that I had started with. And I looked back at my bank passbook, and it was kept on coming no matter what I did back to that spot. And I realized that not only do we have a set point when it comes to our weight, we have a set point when it comes to our money. And so I was very, very involved in personal development at the time because I was attempting to be a much better father than I had been, and had a newborn son, and I wanted to make good on that. And so I used those principles to reset what we call now my financial thermostat, or my money blueprint, and haven't looked back. Probably that time when I lost my money was one of the lower points. And I just kind of looked up to the sky and I said, God, help me if somehow I make it. I promise I'll help other people do the same thing in the same way that I know how. And I was very blessed to be able to remake it, and I've made it, hundreds of times over again. And now that's what I do. I've kept my promise and my vow to help other people with the same frustration that I had. So the interesting thing is, people, my name is T. Harv Eker, but the T is an initial that I gave to myself, and the reason was, at one point when I was that frustrated, I went to a friend of mine and I said, he knew how I felt, and I was really feeling sorry for myself, and I said, it's not worth it. I should just get some little, $30,000 a year job and be happy with that, and drop off the face of the earth and not try to do anything big. And he said, quit feeling sorry for yourself. He said, you have to remember that there has never been anyone before you who was you, and there's never going to be anyone after you who's you. You have a thumbprint of your own. There will never be another Harv Eker in the whole world. Never was and never will be. And you're very special like everybody else, and you need to utilize what you've got. So just that kind of had an effect on me, and to remember that, I put a T in front of my name to remember that I'm the one and only Harv Eker, and I better start acting like it and keep acting like it.
Wow. I've been to your seminar. I never heard you say that.
Yeah, at my major seminars we do that. And then I anoint everybody else with a T in front of their name so they can recognize that they're unique too, and that they have a special place on this earth, and they need to keep on with it.
What is the dream or vision that sets the course of your life?
Well, I keep on adding zeros, but not financially. It's more to the people that I can help. So, I think that what people don't realize is that if you want to make money, if you want to be financially successful, you need to go out there and help people. And if you want to live a fulfilled life, you need to help people. So you really kill two birds with one stone almost. Helping other people is how you get paid. One of the things we talk about in our programs is that how you get paid, and that a person in business or even a job is nothing more than a person who solves problems for people at a profit or for pay, meaning that you're nothing more than a problem solver. And people are always saying, oh, I want to make more money, and how do I make more money, and how do I make more money? That's a bad question because there's no answer to it. But a much better question is, how can I help more people? That you can answer. How can I help people in a better and more effective way? How can I help more of them? And the more people that you help, the more you're going to get paid. It's pretty simple. So, I think that the idea is to go out there and help as many people as you possibly can. So far, we've been able to put 250,000 people through the Millionaire Mind Intensive and the Millionaire Mind program. And I just this week set a new goal and just added a zero in front and behind it. So now our goal is to help 2.5 million people, and we were able to utilize the book. Then the book in its first 90 days has sold over 160,000 copies, and as I said, went number one New York Times, USA Today, and Wall Street Journal for a reason, and it's because people. What I love is I love when people show me the book that they've got, and the whole thing is every page is folded over. There's every page has got highlights and underlines, and they say they keep this book with them all day long and all night long, and they keep it in their bathroom with them, and it's just been a very, very effective tool for people to recognize some principles that work for me and work for thousands of other people, and it's not that hard to be successful. You just have to really get out of your own way. And what that book does, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, is it shows people how they're in their own way and how certain thinking patterns stop you and other patterns propel you.
What is your perspective on setbacks, misfortunes, and mistakes?
Well, that's a good question. I think nobody likes that stuff. I think that's a dream world to think that, oh yeah, when mistakes happen and setbacks happen, oh yeah, that's just great. No, that nobody feels that way unless you're, the Dalai Lama, and I'm sure he doesn't feel that way either. But there's a word that other people use called failures, and I never use it. I've never used that word. I never would use that. That word is a poison word. I never use it because, failure seems very permanent, and so I look at all those things as temporary. They're just temporary setbacks. See, the thing that people don't realize again is that everything is energy, and so all energy travels in frequencies and vibrations, and vibrations travel in waves, and so everything is a wave of an up and down, up and down, up and down. That's what a vibration looks like when you plot it out, and so it's unnatural for people not to have quote unquote lows or setbacks or downs or anything. That's it. It's impossible as a form of energy for that not to occur. So one of the things I say in our courses is that at the end of our program is like I say, listen, you're not going to go out there into some panacea and go, yeah, I'm never going to have my ups and downs. You will, but the difference is that most people's ups and downs is between 2 and 4, and one of the things we're able to help people with is that your ups and downs, your life, up and down will be between 8 and 10. So so bad. It's too bad you have an 8-day today. Well, and so I think that. It's really a natural thing. One of the things I teach is called zigzag your way to success, and based on the law of correction, which means that you're constantly correcting. I think most people have heard that when the spacecraft went to the moon, it was only on course 3% of the time. What that means is that 97% of the time was off course, meaning it was correcting at that time. So it's just like any type of guidance mechanism in an airplane. It's just constantly correcting. When you're holding the steering wheel of a road, even the road is perfectly straight, that wheel is constantly moving. Why? It's constant correction. There is no straight line. It's not a straight line in the universe. That's a physical fact. No straight lines in the universe. So setbacks and mistakes are just a normal way of being. You just kind of have to let them slide, learn from them, and move on to the next thing as quickly as possible.
What do you think of the importance of optimism?
It's better than pessimism. One of the things, again, I teach is that we're making up the story. There's no better, there's no worse. There's, enough. One of the things, the big principles that I teach is that nothing has meaning except for the meaning you give it. So everything is neutral until you paint it a color. And it goes through the filters of your own mind and your own character. And so, literally, optimism is not true or false. Positive is not true or false, or good or bad. It's just more helpful to be positive and optimistic than negative and pessimistic. So it's just a happier life, and plus it's an energy like attracts like. So the law of attraction states that if you are in a negative energy, you'll attract more negative energies, and if you're in a more positive energy, you're going to attract more positive energies. Personally, I like to attract positive energies, and I like to live that way. So I'd rather, I call it power thinking. In Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, we call it power thinking, meaning that you focus on thoughts that empower you versus and thoughts that come up that disempower you. You just kind of let them go and come back to the present, or change that thought into a more powerful thought. Not that it's right or wrong or good or bad. Again, it's just that it's helpful. It's more useful. That's all.
Does it take courage to pursue new ideas?
Does it take courage to what?
Pursue new ideas.
Not for me. I've never looked at it that way. I think it would take, for me, courage to not pursue ideas and to be stuck in some rut all the time. I can't help it. For me, I'm in the shower, my mind's going a billion miles a minute with 58 new ideas. One of the things they say at the office for myself is just trying to keep up is the hard part. I have 144 full-time staff. And that's because it's constantly coming up with new ideas. There's always better ways to do things. There's always improvement. There's always new programs. Our courses, people say, are a 10 out of 10 at least. And my goal is every time I do a course to make it, 25, 30% better every year. And so, I'm constantly improving things and innovation and newness, and that's where I'm at. So it's not courage to me. That's probably the easiest thing I do. I couldn't think of living any other way. The definition of courage is really being willing to act in spite of fear, and so there's no fear there for me. And so it is a way of being, and I couldn't live any other way. So I think some people, the mind is a protective mechanism. Its job is survival. That's all it's. Your mind's job is not to make you happy. It's not to make you rich. It's not to make you successful. Your mind's job is survival, keep you alive. That's its only job. And unfortunately, people think they're going to use it for a different purpose, and it's not its job. It's like using a lawyer to do your accounting work. It's just going to get a bad job done. And so, literally, what we have to do is understand that, and then just recognize that our mind is going to constantly say things that'll bring us into fear. And so, courage is that when you do have your fear, when your mind is playing, the little voice is telling you things that are getting you upset, to realize that's just in your mind, and to take a nice deep breath and continue on. I challenge all my students to get uncomfortable. Practice being uncomfortable, because at all points in time you're either growing or you're dying. That's a physical fact. If you're not sure that, if you have a plant at home, if it's not growing, what's it doing? It's dying. So any physical living organism, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so, the goal is to constantly grow yourself. And when you're in your comfort zone, you're not growing. So if you're not growing, you're going down. And that's why I say people are older, people who have already made a little, done pretty well, people who are in a rut. You can't be, if your intention is to be comfortable, like I say in my book, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, if your intention is to be comfortable, you'll never be rich. You'll never be rich, and you'll never be happy. Why? Because you're not growing. And comfort is not a growth stage. It is a going down stage. You're not going to stay. It's not homeostasis. You're not going to stay static. Again, it's all energy up and down. And so either you're going up or you're going down. You're comfortable, you're going down.
Who are the heroes in your life?
My mom is a big hero to me. She's just a very strong person, and very full of heart and family oriented, and full of love. So I count my mom and my family, and my kids and my wife. And I don't know that I have a lot of heroes outside of I think you have to be your own hero. Let me put it that way. Again, I don't use the word, but I think you have to respect yourself and have your own confidence, and not to be arrogant at all. But if you're looking anytime you're looking outside of yourself for answers, you got a problem, because they're never outside. Nothing's outside of you. It all comes through. Again, it comes through your filters. So that's why they say life is an illusion, because it's just the way you see things, how you project things. If you paint someone as a hero, they're a hero. If you paint them as a bum, they're a bum. It has nothing to do with them. It's all about you. So I think that there are definitely some people who are making a difference in this world. I like watching a lot of the people who are doing very well financially, and then they help their community, or they help the world at large. I like seeing the actors and actresses and singers and rock band and sports athletes who are helping the AIDS victims in Africa, and Jerry Lewis, those type of people who've made it themselves, and then really go on a limb and put their life energies into helping other causes and things like that. But you can do that in your own cause too. Like I said, we help. I don't look at the work I do as any type of charity, although we do give the first program away with the book, which is pretty phenomenal, 3-day intensive. But I look at it as, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is the value that I add, and this is how I can help. And we have a program called Life Directions, and the big question constantly there is, how can you help? How can you help? How can you help? How can you make this world a little better place by the time you leave it than when you came here? And those again are maybe a little foo-foo to some people, but hey, at a certain point, the money stops being as important, and fulfillment is important. And everybody who's ever gotten rich is going to tell you that after a while, after your few couple of years of toys and feeling really good about the whole thing, you got to look elsewhere. And the only way you can do that is to fulfill. The only way you can actually feel fulfillment, there's only one way. It's not going to be money. It's not going to be love. It's not going to be relationships. It's not going to be winning the next game. That isn't fulfillment. Fulfillment can only be felt by fulfilling your life mission, by fulfilling your destiny. And that's one of the things we're able to do for people, is help them recognize their mission and then create a vision that makes that successful in the real world. Because if you can't live your mission on a daily basis, kind of what's the use of it? If you have to say, this is my mission, and then you have to have some crappy job that you hate to make a few bucks to earn a living, what kind of life is that? So I think it's important. The ultimate situation is to find what you're supposed to be doing on this earth live it on a daily basis, make your money from it also, so it's a win-win situation for everybody, and then you too will be called a hero.
You know, you talked about your mom being one of the most important heroes in your life. How important do you think it is for parents to give those kids that type of role model like your mom gave you?
You can't help it. You're going to be a role model. One of the things we talk about in Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is that, you know, the conditioning process. We get conditioned in three ways. Verbal programming, what we heard when we were young, modeling what we saw when we were young, and specific incidents, experiences that we had when we were young. So, you know, as a parent, you don't even have a choice. You are a model. They are going to either model you identically or the opposite, you know, one of the two, not in between. And so it's not just, you know, when you, for example, when I'm with my children, if I say something that I shouldn't have said, let's say I got upset or something like that, which I don't do much anymore, but, you know, in the early days, you have to correct that immediately. If you kind of, let's say, scream at your kid, you need to take a nice deep breath after that, let them know what they did that bothered you, but then own it. You have to say, listen, you know, mommy or daddy made a mistake there. I shouldn't have raised my voice like that. I shouldn't have got upset like that, and I should have gone out into the hall and for a few minutes, and that's what I'm going to do next time. And I really apologize, and here's what I'd like of you, if you'd be so kind, you know, do this and this and this. And yet that's no way for mommy and daddy to act. So, you know, whatever it is, I'm not telling people how to be parents. I'm just saying that if you need to own up to the messages and correct the messages you're giving your kids as quickly as possible, letting them know that if you made a mistake, that you made a mistake, that if you got upset, you know, we shouldn't have done it that way, and so that they, and sometimes people will say something about money or success, like, you know, words that are just so harmful, or that people like us will never be rich. You know, that is a very detrimental thing to say to your children, because you're introducing that dendrite into the files of their mind, and that's going to stick there forever. So if you make a mistake and you say something like that, you have to watch your messages and first give them more positive messages around money and success in themselves, and then be the best role model you can be. You know, if people want to be a good role model about money with their kids, you know, don't be broke. You know, do well financially, manage your money well, manage your money the way we show you. We show people how to handle money in our programs that are so elegant and easy and simple that everybody can do it with their eyes closed. And do that. That's going to be the best thing you can do for your kids. You know, talk is cheap. You can't say, well, I was broken, but one day, you know, you're going to make it. No, that's ridiculous. They're going to follow you to the letter, because people are, you know, they must. How we learn how to walk, we learn how to talk, we learn how to do everything by modeling our parents.
Boy, that's so true. Well, I really appreciate your time, Harv. And is there one last piece of advice you want to give young people? Young people? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that work on yourself. Work on yourself. There's nothing outside of you. Work on your character. Work on your mindset. Work on who you are as a person, and the money and the success and the relationships will all fall into place, because those are all results of who you are. And that was probably the biggest mistake I made, is always looking outside of myself for the answers, as in, you know, if I get into the right business at the right time, which is, you know, the vehicle is important, no question, or if I just learn the marketing, you know, or if I just learn how to sell, you know, all those things are great tools, but if you don't get a leak in your toolbox, you're going to have a big problem. So you've got to get the toolbox together. That's who you are. I would advise people to understand that success is a learnable skill in every way. You can learn how to play the piano, you can learn how to play tennis, you can learn how to golf, you can learn how to make money, you can learn how to succeed, but all those things, there's a saying that says, you take yourself with you wherever you go. And so if you want to be have a successful life, be a successful person of who you are in character and virtue and in mindset, in strength of character, and work on that, and then you're going to take that with you to whatever element you're involved in, and whether it's your relationships or your business or your money or whatever, you'll be successful at anything because you're a successful person.
Yeah, boy, that's really great advice. Well, again, Harv, I really appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.
Okay, thanks, Harv.
You're more than welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.